Darel just celebrated an impressive milestone, 20 years since founding Noble Mortgage. In this video, we will explore the strategies and the principles that have contributed to his sustainable success over the past 2 decades. So join us as we uncover the secret to Darel's impressive achievement and gain valuable insight to apply to your own entrepreneurial endeavors. Ready to dive in? All right, Darel, welcome to the Real Estate Ballers Show.
Thank you for having me, V. Thank you for having me. I've been hearing about it for a long time, and I kept waiting for my phone to ring to see when I was going to be able to be on, and finally, I guess you saved the best for last.
That's it. Well, it's not the last show yet, but yes, you are. You are one of the best that we got in the industry. So tell us, how long have you been in business?
So we actually celebrated 20 years this year at Noble Mortgage last month. So we're super excited about that. We had a big happy hour and bought some cool shirts for my team and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's been 20 years as of last month.
Well, congratulations. So Noble is a lending company, but
Correct.
That's not the only business you have, is it?
No, I actually started an insurance company 2 years ago. With that company, I actually have a partner. Haneen is my partner in that. She's licensed. She runs the insurance company. I'm more a silent partner that's helping build the business because she's never owned a business. She's young. So I'm there as more of a consultant to kind of help build the business and obviously refer a business when I can as well.
So in today operations, you have two businesses, Noble and the insurance company?
Yes.
Okay. Well, some people may say that you are lucky, but I say that you did a lot of legwork in the beginning to get you to where you are today. So if you have to give it one key thing of, how you were able to keep Noble for 20 years and operate at, a good success level, what would that be?
Man, I have to say grit. I have to say you have a lot of grit and persistence, and you need to be passionate about your business. But, grit is one of those things that, you're not necessarily born with it, but some people are, but you definitely have to learn it if you own a business because you're going to have a lot of ups and downs. And when you own a business, it comes down to you. Like the buck stops with you. So, we made it through the Great Recession of 08 and 09, and, it was stressful, but I just, rolled my sleeves up and did what we had to do to survive that horrible recession that we went through, and just kept plowing through and just try to figure out a way to keep the lights on, if you will, because it was not an easy time. Most of my competitors went out of business during that time.
So this is meant to be as a compliment. Every time I look at your Facebook and your social media, you traveling, you doing fun stuff. How were you able to position yourself to be able to do these things? Because generally speaking, most of the time when people think of business owner, they think, oh my God, this guy worked like 80, 90 hours a week. Do you work 80, 90 hours a week and then find time to have fun? How did you get to your achievement today?
So I appreciate that. Yes, I do like to, I work hard and play hard, put it that way. But I like to travel. I'm a passionate hunter, as you can see with my animals in the background here. That's one of the things I love to do the most.
But were all of those your trophies?
Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. I got another one this last weekend that I still haven't even seen yet. And I got a bear from last year I haven't seen yet. So that's what I really love to do. But, V, when I first started my business, I wasn't that way. I was, I did everything. I literally did everything. I did loans. I did all my accounting. I did the loan servicing. I went and looked at all the properties. I reviewed all the deals. I was the IT guy. I was the marketing department. I literally put my hands on everything. And I had a team, but I just literally just did everything. And it's called the Superman complex. As a business owner, you're like, I know I can do it better. And you can do it better is the answer because you care more, right? But you can't grow that way. So I hired a business coach after the recession because I needed to rebuild my company. And one of the first things he taught me was how to delegate. And he's like, why are you doing your accounting? And I said, well, I'm good at it, and I like numbers. And I enjoy doing my accounting. He's like, well, what's an accountant going to cost you? And at the time I was like, I don't know, maybe 50,000. He's like, you make more than 50,000. So why are you doing an accountant's job? So he really helped me kind of start letting go, and then I hired an accountant. That was the first thing I did. And that took freed up a lot of time on me, and hired a marketing person to do my marketing, and then stopped doing loans. Like I don't do loans per se anymore. I might refer loans to my loan officers, but I eventually started delegating. That enabled me to work on my business instead of in my business. And it also enabled me to free up a lot more time where I could travel and spend time with my family and do those kinds of things. So that was the key, was building the team and being able to let go and delegate.
So what are the things that you put in place so that when you travel and spend time with your family, your business does not skip a beat?
I have a really good team. We train them well. I empower them. I always try to learn from them. Always when I hire someone new, we like to, promote within the ranks. So one of my vice presidents, Lindsay, she started as an admin, and she was an admin for about a year, and then she moved into a loan processing role, and then she moved into management. So I really try to take care of my employees so they stay. I'm trying to retain employees as long as I can, because when you retain your employees, you get consistency. And when you get consistency, that gives you better customer service, and it also allows you to delegate more and let go of more. And so, my team does an amazing job. I still overlook certain things, but I trust them 100%. That's really the key.
How many people do you have in your team?
Right now, we're at 10 people. We were at 15 last year, and we've kind of pulled back a little bit because the market's slowing down a little bit right now, and we didn't need as many loan officers. And so we pulled back a little bit, trying to see what's going to happen with the market this year. A couple of people left on their own because they had some family issues. So we're at 10 right now, but we have a really strong team still.
So having multiple businesses like that, do you ever pull one from one company and have them do work on the other and vice versa? Or do you keep them totally separated?
I keep them separated. I tried doing that once, and it was a struggle because you got both companies fighting over one person, and so I didn't like it. So now I try to keep it 100% separate. Even though the insurance company's in the same building, they're on the 8th floor where I'm at, and we're on the 4th floor. Sometimes they may lend a hand here and there on certain things, but I try to keep all my teams separately.
So tell us, what's the fun part of being a business owner and on this 20 years journey?
It's a lot of fun. It's not for the faint of heart. Owning a business is not easy. It can be very lonely. I was just telling somebody that the other day. I had lunch with a friend of mine that she owns her own business. And I said, boy, it could be lonely owning a business because nobody else gets it, And so I love having lunch or having a drink with other business owners because it can be very lonely because nobody else really gets it. It's almost like its own little club. But for me, what really I enjoy my team. And that was the one thing I learned from my business coach, was to build a culture. And I never had that first, so I started in 2003 and we went up to about 15, 16 people. And then during the Great Recession, we went down to 2 people, me and one other person. And then when I rebuilt the company, I started hiring again. One of the things that my business coach was talking to me about was building a culture. And I didn't even know what this, I hadn't even thought about this. And so we really started building a culture, and starts with hiring people that have good attitudes and people that you just get along with and that you want to be around with. And so for me, I look forward to Monday because I miss my team, and I really enjoy being with my team and helping them and working with them. We have a lot of fun. We work hard and so forth. But to me, that's the biggest part of it, is the team that you grow around you. And especially if you do it right with culture and you hire the people that you actually want to be around. Because if you think about it, you spend more time with your coworkers than anybody else in your entire lifetime. You will spend more time with your coworkers, including your family. So you better like them. So my thing is, like, when I interview people, I'm like, I need to like this person first. And I let them 2 or 3 other people interview them. So I'm like, do you like this guy or dislike this gal or whoever,
You said something very profound, the culture. And I totally agree with you, because in my early days, I kept hiring and firing and hiring and firing. I'm like, what did I do wrong here? And similar to you, I had a coach, and the first exercise we did was core values and culture.
Yep.
And ever since then, I feel like we now have a really strong team too, due to the culture. And so to your point, being a business owner is lonely. What has been the biggest challenge for you, whether it's overcoming your own personal challenge or a business challenge? I'm sorry for this interruption. I've been asked a lot about passive investments. And let's be real, there is nothing passive about being a landlord unless you have a really good property management company. So if you own an Airbnb or a short-term rental and you want to get back your time, please give our team at Buzz Vacation Rental a call at 281-549-8432 or go to our website at pm.buzzvacationrentals.com. Now back to the Real Estate Baller Show.
Personally for me, obviously when you own a business, you grow a lot as a person. I was a lot more probably introverted when I started my business, but I really had to.
Really? I can't tell.
I know. You wouldn't know me. You wouldn't know me before I started my business. You always hear that people can't change, and that's not true. People can change if they're motivated. And so I started my business and I had a 1-year-old at home and my wife was pregnant with another one. So that's motivation, right? So I needed to learn to speak publicly and be more outgoing and network and those sorts of things. And so that motivated me to do those things. And so I really had to come out of my shell. And so now I'm like the complete opposite of that. Now I'm like, put me on stage, I can talk all day, every day, or put me in a networking event. I love it. But it used to really make me tired. I would be like physically tired after speaking or whatever. So, I had to change a lot. And then from the business standpoint, it's always the people. That's always the hardest part when you're running a business is hiring and retaining the right people, and so we're really big on culture here and we try to do it that way, but people come and go. And so the people is always the hardest part, especially the last couple of years. I'm sure, most businesses, big businesses and small businesses, even more for small businesses, have had a huge, a hard time with hiring people and retaining them because the new generation, boy, they don't stay around very long. They might be with you for a year or maybe 2 and leave. And there's been a shortage of people to even hire. So that's been a real struggle the last couple of years, is just finding the right people and retaining them.
Yeah, if there's a way for us to replace people with robots.
Yeah.
But maybe, this chat GPT thing, maybe replacing some of our people here.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm a little more old school that way. Like I don't let my employees work remotely. I take that back. I have one employee that works remotely, but during that whole work at home during COVID, I'm just not wired that way. We tried it. We sent our loan officers home, for a couple months and let y'all can work from home. I kept my admin staff at the office and it was awful. Like we lost our culture. The loan officers weren't performing as well, except for one guy. One guy actually excelled and he's about my age. So he's got a little more discipline to him and he's still working from the house and he likes working from the house. He does really good from the house. I'm like, okay, Chris, you can stay home. I don't care. Work from home if you want to.
We opposite. We build remote. Like our operation is remote. And okay. I feel like it's provide a lot of flexibility. But you're right. We have certain restriction as well, right? We can't build that team culture like, hey, let's have happy hour, right?
Yep.
So we'll do remote happy hour or virtual happy hours to compensate for those other things.
Yeah, I like to see my people on a daily basis. If they need to work from home every once in a while, I allow that. But for the most part, we're an in-office company. But that was another struggle we've gone through the last couple of years is trying to hire someone. You're like, as soon as you're interviewing, they're like, is it a remote job or in office? We're like in office. I'm looking for something remote.
What's your vision for Noble?
We're going to continue what we've been doing. Obviously, that's what works. We're a hard money lender. We do conventional loans. We do non-QM loans. So that's what works. We've expanded into the Dallas market. I would like to expand into other markets. We lend still in Dallas and Austin and other cities, but I would love to have probably our satellite office, probably have an office in San Antonio is what we've been thinking about.
What do you foresee as the next obstacle that you got to overcome?
I think it's the recession that we're going to face this year. Honestly, we've had a really good run in real estate the last several years. And I'm sure you felt the benefits of that as well, and all my competitors and everybody in real estate has had a really, really good 5-year run, especially the last 3 years have just been insane. And so that's slowing down. The rates are a lot higher. The market is not as busy. The Fed has already came out. They came out yesterday and said they're predicting a recession this year. And so, a lot of investors are like, I can't wait for the next recession. I'm like, yeah, but you weren't in the last one. Recession is not good for anybody. A lot of people are like, man, I wish I was there. And I'm like, no, you don't. It was, 2008, 2009 it was a bloodbath, in the real estate industry. And a lot of people had to get out of the industry altogether. So recession is never good for anybody. I get it how it, can push prices down, which is good for investors, but it's never good for anybody. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, especially with the high rates, high inflation, and now they're saying we're facing a recession. So I'm just hopefully it's not going to be anything, close to the size of the one in 08 and 09. So I'm keeping my eye on that.
What are the cause of a recession this time? Because of rates going up, inflation? What are we talking about?
I mean, there's a lot of things at work there. Obviously, I'm not an economist, but there's a lot of things at work there. And I think it all started really with, all the money that was pumped into our economy during COVID. I think it's something like a third of the money that is in print was created during 2020. That is a lot of money, and that's what's caused inflation. Now all of a sudden inflation is going through the roof and the Fed has to react to that. And the only way they can react to that is by raising rates. So they raised rates so fast the last, 8 months, whatever. It's caused bank failures. You had two major banks fails. And so when a huge bank fails, just that alone, and there's a lot of people think there's going to be more banks that fail because these banks, they can't react quickly enough when the treasury's raising the rates that quick. So the bank failures has a lot to do with the recession if it happens later this year as well. And, they can't just lower the rates again really fast because inflation is still a problem. So they're in a tough spot because inflation, raising the rates is the only weapon they have against inflation. It's the only weapon they have. So they've done it, but now it's caused other things. So there's a lot of things that work there.
Obviously, 20 years in the business, this is not your first disruptions in the market. At what point would you say, okay, time to be proactive and make adjustment to, let's in anticipation to this recessions that on the horizon?
Oh, we're already doing that. We're already doing that. We've been doing that for the last probably 5 months, towards the third quarter or towards the fourth quarter of last year. We could see obviously the rates were already going up at that point. The market was slowing down. And so, when it does that as a lender, you have to start being a little more careful, maybe, starts with location, these areas that are transitional, when the market is on an upswing, you can make a lot of money in those markets when it's transitional. But when the market is now turning back down a little bit, transitional markets can be very, very risky. So we're trying not to do too much in transitional markets, making sure that our borrowers are well capitalized and just really keep an eye on that. We've done a lot of new construction the last couple of years. We're starting to pull back a little bit on our new construction and just really being careful about what we lend on.
So are you able to share maybe a little bit more detail of what adjustment you're making? Hey, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.
I mean, it's nothing, crazy like we're not doing certain things. We're still doing all the same types of loans that we would do before. But probably the biggest adjustment we've made is location wise, again, when it comes to transitional areas, because homes, in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, you could have just about anything if it was in decent shape and it would sell.
Yeah.
And people were bidding over ask price, and they'd be buying in these, people were building brand new homes in these really, really early on transitional neighborhoods and selling them and making money. And that's great. Like we lent on those projects. Will I lend on those now? Maybe. I want to make sure that my borrower is well capitalized. And that's really what gets people in trouble is because, it's more competition in market. So they're going to have to maybe spend a little more money on their property, whether it's new construction or a flip. And it's going to take them longer to sell it. So they need to have the cash reserves in order to withstand that. So we're trying to make sure our borrowers are a little bit more capitalized maybe than we would have required in the past, and just be a little bit more careful about which areas we're lending in.
So speaking of reserve, do you have a rule of thumb of how much reserve one should have?
What I always tell people is when there's a question in real estate, normally the answer is it depends. And the answer is it depends. So it depends on a lot of things. It depends on how many projects they have going on at the time. It depends on the size of the loan amount, but it also depends on the loan amount, how much of that is construction or for renovations. If it's a $200,000 loan with a $20,000 renovation budget, they don't need a lot of cash reserves because they have to, to keep their contractors going. But if it's a $200,000 loan and a $100,000 renovation, they're going to have more in cash reserves to keep the project moving forward. And same thing if they have several other projects. If they got 10 rehabs or 10 new construction projects underway, then you start to look at that and say, okay, they got to keep, not only pay us, they got to pay all these other lenders that they have loans with and keep their contractors moving forward. So I really, I'm an old school underwriter. I look at everything. I don't just look at one thing. I try to make sense of the deal, not only for us, but for the customer. Looking back in your history of your company, what would you have done differently? I would have hired a business coach a lot earlier on. I started Noble Mortgage without much thought, to be honest with you, because I had already been in the industry since 1996. I worked for a company that did hard money and conventional loans, and I left there, worked for another company for a couple of years, and then I started Noble in 2003, because my mindset was I'm already 100% commission. I could just do this myself. So I just subleased some office space from a guy I knew and started doing loans and got, started making my own loans and so forth. So I didn't really have the wisdom or the knowledge on what it took to build a business. And I just, started doing that, started hiring people like you said. Oh, I know this guy, he wants to come work over here. Yeah, come work over here. And so I didn't know how to put all the pieces together of, it's not just, transitioning from a 100% commission loan officer to owning a business is completely different. And a lot of people that are in commission don't realize that. And I didn't realize it because you don't just have to, close loans. You got to worry about marketing. You got to worry about HR. You got to worry about the finances. You got to worry about the accounting. And so that was a part I had to really learn. I tried to learn it on my own and we did well, but the culture I never knew, I wasn't delegating. And so I wish I had hired a business coach a lot earlier on to really get me prepared for those things. That's very awesome. I personally, I have a coach as well. So what advice do you have for new investor coming into the market today, into the single family market today? I would say you need to, as a new investor, I would probably say, number one is educate yourself, because there's a lot of ways to make money in real estate, but you need to educate yourself first and then figure out what it is you want to do, because it all comes down to how much time you have, how much money you have to invest and so forth. If you're a corporate guy or a corporate woman and you're working 40 hours a week, maybe flipping is not something you want to do. Maybe you should get on the rental side. So I would educate yourself first, get your financial house in order, because you're going to have to borrow money. If you're going to be getting into real estate, it's very capital intensive. So, and then figure out what you want to do and then really focus on that and make it something that you do, when you're not at work, whatever, where you can really spend the time to learn the craft. Because there is there's a big learning curve in real estate. And depending on what you do, it can be very time consuming and also, like I said, capital intensive. All right. So Darel, what else do you do besides hunting? That's it. That's all I want to do. I hunt a lot. Everybody's like, oh, you hunt a lot. I do hunt a lot. So hunting season starts in September. And then it's just now wrapping up for me. So when I'm not hunting, I have two boys that I absolutely adore. They are my why, and I spend a lot of time with them. One of them is a junior at A&M. The other one is graduating high school this year. So I spend a lot of time with them. And then I love to go out to eat. I'm a big foodie, so I'm kind of like this. I have these two personalities. You got Country Boy Darel, which is all my deer heads and all that back here. And then you got City Boy Darel that loves to go out to new places, try new restaurants and spend time with friends. I'm very lucky. I'm 52 years old and I'm very lucky that I have probably 4 guy friends that I've known for 20 plus years. And 2 of them I've known for over 30 years. And so I spend a lot of time with my friends. And when you have those friends that knew you, from way back when you were in college and you were able to maintain those friendships, in your elder years, boy, it's special because there's no BS. They know exactly who you are. You know where their heart is. So I spend a lot of time with my friends and spend a lot of time with my 2 boys. That's very special. All right. So as we wrapping up here, what is the one thing that people might be surprised to learn about you? Man, I don't know. I'm so active on social media. I think everybody knows everything about me already. I run into people that I don't know at networking events, and it's like they already know me, because I'm very big on social media, and I love social media because it allows me to connect with people that I don't even know. But I guess maybe if I was going to think of one thing, the thing that's interesting, I grew up in Texas, obviously, but I didn't start hunting until about 10 years ago. most of the time, as you can tell, I'm a passionate hunter, so I love talking about it. But most of the time when you meet people that hunt, they grew up hunting because their dad taught them to hunt. Well, I'm not that way. I didn't hunt when I was a kid, so I didn't take up hunting until I was in my early 40s. And so most people don't know that. And so when you pick up hunting at a later time in life, it's very difficult because you don't have your dad to teach you. You know, you have to, like, I'm on YouTube videos hunting turkeys one time, figuring out how to call them and so forth. And so it's something that I had to constantly educate myself and try to learn and so forth. But that's the only thing I could think of because everything else I'm pretty much out there.
Are you a sharpshooter?
I don't know if I'm a sharpshooter. You know, I can't shoot. Some of these guys are shooting 500, 1,000 yards. I'm not that good of a shooter. You know, I can shoot out to about 300. The animal I shot this last weekend was about 160 yards. So I don't have that quite in me yet.
Well, I don't know how you do it, Darel, because I cannot sit still to hunt. I'll be chasing all the deers and all the animals away.
Well, it depends how you're hunting, though. You know, there's deer hunting where you're sitting in a deer blind and you're not moving, and that's actually not the type of hunt that I prefer. So, like this hunt I did this last weekend, it's a spot and stalk, and so you are walking all day long trying to find an animal and sneak up on it. That's the kind of hunts I like.
Yeah, that sounds more fun because sitting in the deer stand all day waiting for a deer to show up, just not really my thing.
It's not my thing either. I do it, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather be on my feet and in the mountains of Colorado, because or Canada, wherever. I've been a lot of different places where you just grab your gun, you start walking, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's how hunting's supposed to be in my mind.
Okay, so how does the audience get in touch with you?
Well, they can go to our website, which is noblemortgage.com. Also, my insurance company is Legacy Insurance Advisors, but it's legacyinsuranceadv.com. Those are our two websites, and they can certainly find me on social media. Darel Daik. I guess my name's on here. I don't have to spell it, but I'm easy to find on social media as well.
Thank you for watching. We hope you found this video insightful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And remember, it's not an overnight success. So keep at it, keep building. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to the Real Estate Ballers so you can get more great content like this. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.